Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Passport Pops, Passport OG. You know, Passport Bros. According to Passport Pops, we're the new cool kids. Why? Because we're working that gray area, which makes sense to me, because the cool kids that work the gray area were able to get away with certain things that normal kids that followed the rules couldn't get away with. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
Hey there, brother. Do you have time to talk about Jesus Christ today?
I've seen this clip.
Oh, you're dead? Oh, okay. Well, you have yourself a blessed day.
Okay, you too.
You mother...
At first glance, this looks like a run-of-the-mill joke that doesn't have anything to do with a point that I could be making about Passport Bros or going overseas. But there is something that happens in this particular video that goes unnoticed unless you change your way of thinking. But in order to understand that, we have to revisit the rules of high school. Before the generation of feel-good stories masking the true dynamics of school, we had real school. For our generation, there's no shortage of media depicting the ups and downs of high school life for young adolescents. Movies like The Breakfast Club show the difficulty of finding individual identity while commingling with different economic and social strata of friends and acquaintances. Movies like Dazed and Confused show
that I have watched. I used to be a pretty big stoner when I was younger, so I watched a lot of the stoner movies, and Dazed and Confused was one of them.
The dichotomy of life for kids that played by the rules and the kids that know which rules to break. But there is no show that showed the difference between the kids that could break the rules and the kids that never dared to break a single rule more than Saved by the Bell.
I loved this show growing up. I watched it a lot. It was like on TV all the time. I thought Zach was like the coolest kid when I was growing up, just because I was a kid.
And no kid embodied the persona of a kid that all.
I actually thought that my principal was going to be somewhat like their principal, all cool and understanding. That wasn't the case.
Always played by the rules more than Screech.
True.
Actually, you've helped me. You've made me realize that there are a million fish in the sea and I'm just a worm to attract them.
Of course, we all remember the love affair between Screech and Lisa, or should
You mean the simping affair? Yeah, I remember.
I say the unrequited love from Screech to Lisa, but Screech was a representation of the guy who was geeky. He followed the rules and he did the things that you're supposed to do, what you're told you're supposed to do. And when he tried to date the apple of his eye, Lisa, he wasn't cool enough for her. And of course, the opposite of this were the coolest guys in the school, Zach and Slater. And these guys essentially ran the school. They could bring in outside food, they can come into class late, and they got away with everything because they understood which rules you could break. But
true. I did this in high school. I had perfect attendance. I had perfect attendance for 6 years straight in high school, from middle school to high school, because our middle school and high school was the same school. So I was really like strict about my rules when it came to grades and attendance. But when it came to other things, I fudged rules constantly. Like I beat the crap out of a lot of kids in high school, but I was known as the good kid to all of my teachers. All my teachers thought I was like the nicest, like simpy kid. So they never imagined me being a kid that would beat the shit out of other kids. So I've always had like that image to where I get to play around with and do bad things, but they still see me as a good person, which is awesome. And like even another thing, like, I was nerdy. I was in math club. My math teacher was the advisor of math club. Yes, math club. Nerdy. And then we were really close with her, and because we were close with her, we were able to order Thai food and order whatever food and get it sent to the office, and we would be able to just eat lunch at her class during lunch and whatever we wanted. So that was something that most kids couldn't do. And even another thing was my history teacher. Yes, I was also in history club and computer club. My history teacher loved us. We were all the advisors. We were like all the officers in all the clubs that he was the advisor for. And he was also the advisor for computer club. Computer club has a whole bunch of computers ready to play StarCraft and Counter-Strike. Because we maintained them and we took care of them. So during school, as long as we took care of all of our stuff and everything was done, He would just let us go on the computers and play Counter-Strike and Warcraft or StarCraft, whatever we wanted, just because we were good kids and, you know, we did things to like get those affections from him. Bending the rules.
What happens when you never graduate from being the cool guy in school and you keep that identity into perpetuity?
I was not the cool guy. I was a super nerdy kid, but I understand the gray, the working in the gray thing. Yes, there's black and white rules, but there's so much more gray than there is black and white.
It looks like this.
Why do you think you struggled so much in school?
I think smarter people sometimes in school are harder to engage because they're like, why am I here? What's the point of this? I don't like this. I don't enjoy this. I'm not passionate about this.
I can somewhat agree with this. This is how I was about what I was learning in school. I love school though, because it took me out of work. Because if I wasn't at school, I would be at the donut shop working. So I saw school as like a getaway from my family and working.
And I was sitting there the whole entire time, like thinking to myself, why is this teacher who is a failed whatever they are teaching me about something that I'm never gonna use in my life? I want to learn from people who are successful. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world.
I can somewhat agree with this thought process. You know, like the stuff that you learn in high school, I agreed. I thought it was useless. Like, do I really need to know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell? Fuck no, you don't. Like, who the fuck needs that? You know, who do you like anything past arithmetic and algebra, you don't need, not in everyday life. You know, you don't need to write poems constantly. You don't need to know a lot of these things. Like in my head, how I thought my thought process was. And I can understand how these kids think this way because when I was growing up, I didn't have access to billionaires, millionaires telling me what to do, how to do, where to go, and how to do things at the finger, at the, like, and the information is like on the finger of my, I can't even say it right. The information is on my fingertips, right? Because they can just go watch YouTube. They can see Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban's going to give them advice. They can go see, you know, Mr. Nice Guy. Like, they can see all these pretty big names that can give them advice directly. Where when I was a kid, there was no internet. You know, internet came along when I was like like when I was in high school, was when internet became pretty big, and I had AOL at the time. You know, American Online. So I understand how this works. Like, I understand the thought process because now they have such information. Yeah, why do I need to go to school? I can learn directly from someone that is a billionaire now.
World to sit in a classroom and be taught about the Pythagorean theorem or the quadratic formula.
It's pretty obvious that Jake Paul was one of the cool kids in high school. And because he had monetary success pretty early, basically as the same guy he was in high school, he's had no need to evolve past that guy. But one thing happens for the guys that were the cool kids in high school is that if they have that early monetary success, they really have no need to evolve past who they were in high school because their life as they have lived it is already worked.
Just like women. All right. Women are given their value. Once they're 16, 18, they can get whatever they want pretty much. Right. They never had to work to get anything, especially relationship wise between men. So they never had to work on themselves. Everything was so easy for them. You know, women, especially good looking women. And the only reason good looking men can do the same thing is if they have the money from the beginning.
And so they get essentially encapsulated in a life that was the greatest ever, the best party years ever in those high school 20s years. And their life always reflects back to how cool I was when I was in my 20s. Before we get to who the actual new cool kids are, we have to look at what happens when guys get encapsulated in that I used to be cool guy, and they have to live the rest of their lives looking back on how awesome it used to be.
Have you ever met somebody that you were like, I could marry her?
It reminds me of Al Bundy, you know, like Married with Children, how he always reminisced about, you know, his 4 touchdowns in a single game.
Yes.
Okay.
I actually have a lot of friends that reminisce about high school a lot too. Oh, not friends, but like I have acquaintances that almost always want to reminisce about high school.
Out of so many situations,
Cam.
and I'm honest. Man, it's been so many bomb chicks that come in my life.
Like wives.
And I've
This is where it's kind of hard for me to like see Cam as like a high value person in a sense, just because he can't control his urges. Like the way he's speaking, excuse me, the way he's speaking about it now, as if a man can't control his urges and can't control himself. That's just what I see. So
them up.
Wow.
But why?
I met the right person,
The wrong time.
The wrong time.
the wrong time, and I wasn't right.
It's hard to find someone that embodies the alpha male more than Cam Newton, who is soon to celebrate his 8th child being born with his
8 kids, god damn, and 3 baby mamas. That's an interesting life that I don't want to deal with.
3rd baby mother. In this space, as men, and specifically as black men, we understand having multiple baby mothers is an invitation to difficulty. In Cam Newton's case, while welcoming his 8th child with his 3rd baby mother, he is encountering child support requests and even having difficulty having old gifts like Bentleys returned to him from his continuing to be baby mothers.
I guess the main thing that I don't like is that instead of just promoting her tour, the title is Baby Mama 3.
Yeah, because she's proud of it. This is the society that we live in. It's not just the African black community at all. Everybody's just proud to be baby mamas. They think that they deserve everything that a normal person or a normal woman that doesn't have a child deserves. No, you've made mistakes.
Like, so we've taken the attention off of you being funny and talented, and you know, you have all these followers because of what you do, but now it's about you being someone's 3rd baby mother.
I'm sure that some people will watch this video and think Cam has a lot of money, he's tall, he's good looking, he's popular, he can have pretty much any woman that he wants. If I could trade places with him, I would.
Not with 8 kids and 3 baby mamas. I mean, the money's nice, but that headache, fuck.
But that's not necessarily the point. The point is, for the next 18 to 20 years, Cam Newton is stuck in a lifestyle where he's dealing with women that think like this.
So would you do what you're doing for a broke dude? What do you call broke? Requires your financial support as well.
No.
Like, what does a submissive woman do for her man?
Everything.
What does that mean?
You know, like packing his bag, unpacking his bag, just making sure all the things that he wants. And I pretty much read his mind.
Now, in this case, remove the proverbial high school example and replace it with modern day dating in the West. And in this particular case, in the black community. If this is the kind of thinking that you basically have, a woman who's basically saying, I would rather raise a child along with 3 other women sharing 8 children with one man instead of having one guy that I'm working with to build a family, that's just the game. That
is the game. I mean, look at Nick Cannon. There's a lot of men out there. Future. All these men fit this demographic that these women are looking for. They just want a high value man or a high earning man. They don't care if they have him to himself or not. They just want a kid from him and they want his resources. A lot of these women just don't want to take care of themselves.
the high school, proverbially speaking. And if that is the game of the high school, this is where the cool kids come in.
Ooh.
Hey there, brother. Do you have time to talk about Jesus Christ today? Oh, you're dead?
Like, I don't even know if he's actually doing it. It looks like he's just flinging his fingers around and mouthing stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, you have yourself a blessed day.
Okay, you too.
What Zach and Slater understood that Screech didn't is that there's some rules that are in black and white, and there are other rules that are in the gray area. And if you're one of the goody two-shoes guys like Screech, you observe all the rules the same way. But if you're a guy like Zach and you want to bring a soda to school, you give the coach a soda before school and say, I want to bring a soda for my lunch. I want to drink it. Don't get mad at me. Or you come into class late, and if you're a girl who's really cute, the teacher allows it. But if you're a guy who slacks off, the teacher chews your head off. And these gray rules are the ones where guys who are trying to be the goody two-shoes guys get played. But what happens when the cool kids, and this is what makes a kid cool, understands that those gray rules are to his purview and he can choose.
I'll tell you guys now, I love the gray. I work the gray most of my life. I think it's the best way to go about it because black is too rigid and white is too rigid, right? Where the gray, you get the pulls a little bit from both. And as long as you don't break any rules, hard lines, it works. And as long as how I do it, as long as I'm not stepping over anybody, taking advantage of anybody in any way, I don't mind using the gray area.
Choose to follow those rules or not. And that's what makes the kids cool. When they know the gray rules and they choose not to follow them. Like someone who knocks on your door and says, hey, I want to talk to you about Jesus. And you start making hand signals like you don't understand. Put yourself in Cam Newton's shoes for just a moment and imagine that you're about to welcome your 8th child into the world with your 3rd different.
You know, I want a lot of kids. I want like 2-3 kids. But 8 children with 3 baby mamas, that's just too much. That's like, if I had 8 children with 1 woman, I'd actually probably be okay with that. But 3 baby mamas, like, come on, guys.
Baby mother. You're not only worried about 2 decades of provisioning for all of these children, but you have to consider that for another 2 decades, you're going to be dealing with 3 different women who probably are not going to be cooperating with you or each other. You know who would look really cool to a guy like Cam Newton right now? Guys that can do this. The new cool guys are the guys that can go overseas and have lives that are not just photograph worthy, but are much less stressful and ones that people envy. And consider this. This is the real power that Passport Bros have. When you choose to have a woman, and you, maybe even if you bring her back to the States, or you can stay where you are, you have one ace in your pocket. You can look at your woman and say, I love you, I care about you, but if you want to go play this game.
I just got a question for you, man. I just want to pick a bone with you. I'm going to be straight up about it. Are you with my bitch, man?
Fuck, Future. Is this serious? Like, you just fucking other dudes' girls like that? Like, come on, man.
I feel like you're talking to my girl. She keep texting somebody and it keep popping up as like the Pluto emoji.
We need a picture of her.
Yes,
yeah, because I might don't even know her name, so I gotta see the face. You know how these women is these days, you never know. You never know.
Knock yourself out. Have a good time. The advantage that the Passport Bros have is you can go to a woman somewhere in the world who wants to build a family and you want to build a family with her, and you could say, we can build something together that is noteworthy and you can live a life that's better than you had before. And if she wants to leave, you can point to this dating market that everyone is complaining about and say, you know what? Knock yourself out. Have a good time. But you can't come back. That
was good, Chow. Passport OGs hit it on the nail. Well, like, yes. When women actually are out there, they know how hard dating is. They've seen it. They know the troubles that they have to deal with. So when you find a good woman from another country that sees what you can provide for her and what you can do for her, the likelihood of her leaving is so unlikely. You know? And if she does, let her. Let her. Like, just because you traveled, you became a passport bro, you found a wife, and it didn't work out, it's okay, guys. It's okay to walk away. Just let them go. You can do it again if you want to, or you can just become Midtown. That's it. Please like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.